My name is Samantha, and I work in equipment purchasing.
Do you have a favorite memory about Gary or Zepole, or what's your favorite part about working here?
Yes, my favorite memory is getting hired for Zepole back in 2016. Hadn't met Gary in 4 days, and my first time meeting him, he was not very happy with me. He told me that I had looked at my cell phone way too much, and if I needed extra things to do because I seemed to not be working very hard. And I just told him, well, everyone else in your office is looking at their cell phones, so I took my cue from them, and that's what I was doing. And so he didn't like that very much. He was a little crabby about it. And he left, and Lottie was in on the conversation the whole time and told me not to worry about Gary. It'll be fine. And here I am 6.5 years later, so it worked out. But I was ready to quit that day, Gary. I didn't. Hello! Can you please tell us your name and how long you've worked at Zepole?
My name is Jim, and I've been there for 12 years. And I knew Gary's father. He used to sell my father at his restaurant. And I remember when I was 5-6 years old, I would be at the restaurant and I would see Gary's father come in all the time. And he had a trench coat, a hat, and a suitcase. And what else? And how I got hired, I saw a Zepole truck go by. I go, damn, I know Angelo. So I gave Angelo a call. He called me back. He goes, well, you got to call Gary. I go, who the hell's Gary? And that was it. And he hired me, and it's been a good ride. It's a family. It's not just a job. That's it. That's all I got.
Yes, Ann Gaden Rodriguez, and I've been here 10 years.
Awesome. And could you please give us a little anecdote about Zepole, Gary, your favorite memory, a funny story?
Yeah, I remember meeting Gary for the first time. And honestly, we had coffee in a Starbucks, and I'm like, this guy is young. Like, I'm old enough possibly to be his mother. Like, so there was that. But here's what I appreciate is I had been let go from a company, but I'd been there 6 years and had done well for a period of time. And what I appreciate is he gave me an opportunity. Like, I had a tough year, and then I didn't hit my numbers, and they had dismissed me, and he goes, I don't do that. I work with people. I give them some time, and I will say I'm grateful because my beginning at Zepole was rough, but I learned a lot out of that, and I got a lot of traction, and we could have a conversation about that, and he could see the potential. And he's someone that I could always say the truth to. Like, he had his viewpoint and I had my viewpoint, and then we found a place in the middle where we could grow from. And here I am 10 years later, and this will be my best year ever. So thank you.
Hello. What's your name?
Lottie Breakus.
How long have you worked for Zepole?
30 years.
Yeah. Do you have a funny story or a favorite memory about Zepole or Gary?
Well, you know I do. 30. 30 seems to be the number here. Gary's 30th birthday. We surprised him with a Marilyn Monroe look-alike. She came to visit him and she sang, "Happy birthday, Mr. President." I will never forget the expression on his face when she made him dance and move his hips around with a boa wrapped around his neck. Hysterical.
You worked at Zepole.
My name is Daniel, and I've been at Zepole for about 3 years.
And we're interviewing about funny stories, anecdotes, anything you can share with us about Zepole, Gary.
All right. So it was very early on in my career at Zepole, and it was the very first time that Gary had met me for a sales call, and it was at the Honey Bear Cafe Restaurant in Rogers Park. It's a very old building, and Gary was meeting with the owner and myself, and I was, rather dressed up as I usually do with the slacks and nice shoes on, and I was carrying an iced tea. And the owner and Gary were walking down the basement steps, and they took the slow route, and I took the fast route because I took one step and slid all the way down on my ass, about 15 steps, landed on my ass.
And the iced tea?
The iced tea was perfectly fine. So, I'd have to say that's my funniest story to date.
For Zepole.
I am Michael Marinelli, and I've worked for Zepole now for about 3.5 years.
And do you have any kind of stories that you could tell us about Gary or anything about Zepole, anecdotes?
You know what? I've said this to Gary many times. I'm very, I'm very appreciative for them taking the chance on me. There's not really a day that goes by that I don't speak highly of Zepole and Gary, for that matter. I am very blessed, I would say, that I've had the opportunity to work with such awesome people, and with other companies that I've worked for, it's been different, that all the departments were separate and everybody kind of felt different, not really family oriented. With Zepole, I would always say it's like, for the rest of my life, I'm going to always remember the fact that, the friendships that I've made, how we all work together, and I don't know if I could ever find that again, to be honest. So again, Gary, thank you so much. This is an awesome thing that you did tonight for everyone, and to see everybody happy and smiling and having a great time just cements the fact that I made the right decision to come to Zepole 3.5 years ago. Thanks, Gary, and here's to another 40 years.
For Zepole.
Angelo Parjas, 35 years.
Can you tell us any kind of story about Zepole or Nick or Gary, or why you still work at Zepole after 35 years?
Story. I can't remember a funny story and stuff.
But why are you still at Zepole on year 35?
Well, because it's a hell of a company to work for. That's a fact. You know that. I've told you that before.
You worked for Zepole.
My name's Kathleen, and I only started working here in January. I haven't even been here a year.
Do you have a funny story or an antidote?
I have a very funny story. I was only a couple of months in, and I did my first quote, and Gary sent me an email and told me that, yay, you popped your cherry.